Hello, it's the Happy Healthcare Professionals live show. I hope you are well this evening. I am wearing my jumper today because it's so cold. It's May and you know we should be in basking in the sunshine right now, right? But we're not. We're all huddled up in our jumpers at home. And so I hope that you are well today, wherever you are joining me from on this live show. If you are a regular watcher of the Happy Healthcare Professionals live show, then you will know that I love to interview amazing colleagues on this show, you know, from all different walks of pharmacy life. And beyond, actually. And, you know, and I absolutely love these conversations. So if you are joining me, then say hi in the comments, say hello, ask us questions. I have got an amazing pharmacist who's joining us today. But before I introduce her, let me introduce myself. My name is Komal. I'm a former national level pharmacist turned pharmacy career change coach. And I absolutely love helping pharmacy professionals to reinvent their careers, to create more flexibility, more freedom, more fulfillment, and to become that happy healthcare professional again. And that's the whole premise of this show. It is to highlight colleagues of ours who are doing amazing things and who are setting new boundaries, who are really stepping into roles that we didn't even know existed. And Hala is just no exception to that. She is I count her as a dear friend. She's an incredible pharmacist with incredible experience. She's an entrepreneur, but more so, she is somebody who has really broken down some barriers for herself. And she is a woman pharmacist in tech. She is a digital health pioneer, really. And I cannot wait to introduce you to her and for her to share her story with you. So if you are watching, do ask us questions, do say hi, do comment, because we love it. So before I do that, let me introduce Hala. So I'll bring her onto screen. Hello, Hala.
Hi. Hello. Nice to see you.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on.
Well, thank you for agreeing to come on. I really love talking to you because every single time I talk to you, I learn something new.
That's good. That's a success, and it's win-win for me because every time I speak to you, I actually learn a lot more than when I first spoke to you. So I always leave you feeling full of happiness and excitement and just hope. And
that makes me happy. So tell us about you. Who are you, Hala? How did you tell me your pharmacy story?
Well, you introduced me in such a fantastic way that I was thinking, oh, well, should I actually talk about my early years, my childhood, and take the shine off that wonderful introduction? But I will, because I think that's where the love and the passion started a long time ago. So I was born in Sudan, in East Africa. I was born in Khartoum, not too far from where the River Nile actually forms. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful part of the world. I'm biased, but anybody who's been to Sudan will attest to that. And I come from a long line of in Sudan. I don't know if you've heard the term. We've been known as kandakas, and that is women who were from the kingdom of Kush, and so it's a matrilineal sort of line of rulers. So you can imagine that I grew up in a house where my mom is one of 7 sisters and my grandma was definitely the matriarch. Everything started and stopped with her. She ran things in the way that you would never expect, somebody who she had very limited education. But mm-hmm. She was a visionary. She was a community leader. She ruled with a firm, hand. And that's where I guess you get your early sort of experiences from, and what you learn and how you learn things. And we all grew up in my grandma's house. There's a sort of a sheltered part outside called the Rakuba. And that's where we all grew up. And I'm the firstborn to my parents, but also the firstborn grandchild. So
You're a special one.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Not in that Jose Mourinho type thing. Yes, I am very special. And my grandma just took me under her wing. So everything that I did revolved around, leadership and being a change maker and being somebody who adapts to things. So I went to a Catholic school, and again, I'm a Muslim girl, and I went to a Catholic school. So again, that quickly just made me realize, that sense of adaptability and sense of belonging and togetherness, and just looking at what unites us rather than what divides us. And my aunts were political activists, musicians, lawyers. My mum studied law and social science. So, I think you could see where this is going. So this is a thread that just ran through my life and kind of defined most of the moments that bring me to where I am today to speak to you. So I came to the UK when I was 16, and it was a very, it was a difficult age to leave everyone, come to the UK. But I was quite pragmatic about it at the time. For a 16-year-old, I thought, my family and friends are only 7 hours away. And I really came here because my dream has always been to be a pharmacist. And I thought, I'm just going to live it. I'm going to live the dream, and nothing's going to, derail me. So I went to Bath, and I studied Bath. It was back when the course was 3 years. So I might give away my age a bit. And did my pre-reg in Bristol, and my pre-reg tutor was the secretary of the LPC for Avon. And so I hit the ground running in pharmacy. And then, yes, the career just went, through a natural progression. So I held a few jobs, being, I was in area management, I was in regional management, I was involved in commissioning a private hospital, the pharmacy side of things, and so dealt with lots of CQC dealings. And I think I would say that pharmacy has kind of defined me in a way that I didn't think it would. But I chose pharmacy, and maybe I think pharmacy chose me as well, in a way. So, yeah, here I am talking to you.
I like that. Pharmacy chose me. So it's true. I mean, I guess for me, I sort of feel a little bit like that as well, because I kind of fell into pharmacy, and I was like, I mean, unlike you, I didn't want to be a pharmacist. It was one of those things where I thought, well, I can get into pharmacy school. Let's try that. But, I'd love to explore this, further with you. What do you love about pharmacy? What's your kind of biggest passion when it comes to pharmacy? Because we will come onto PlatPharma in a minute. But,
it's an important question. It will define the rest of the chat, I guess. Well, I mean, pharmacy for me is about, proximity to patients. We're very close to patients. We're proximate, and we have the ability to, change something for somebody. For when people come in to see us, we have the ability to, at worst, just let them leave the same way that they came in. We have the ability to actually change that narrative for people and make them feel a little bit better than when they left us. I guess, I'm very much into education, engaging people. I like to think I'm engaging as well. And I don't have any problems talking. I'm sure you will attest to that. And growing up in Sudan, pharmacists in Sudan are actually have a lot more autonomy than we do here in the UK. Pharmacists in Sudan are called doctors, and pharmacists in Sudan are definitely the first port of call for all ailments, self-limiting ailments, acute, and even long-term conditions. You go to your pharmacist first. And I think maybe we need some decision makers and needle movers from the UK to go to Sudan and see how things are done. So we have such a pivotal part that we play in Sudan, that my idea was to, maybe finish studying in the UK, do a few years here, and then go back and work in Sudan. But that didn't happen. Life happened, and and then I'm just, it's that element. I really feel like being a pharmacist, especially in community, you become such a part of the collective. You are you're so embedded in the community, and you're so embedded with the staff and the people that come in. And I love the whole set of people who work in community pharmacy. I love the delivery drivers who come in. It's because everybody plays such an important part, and we're the sum of all these parts, and how good that team is how good the service that you deliver is. And I've not really, my love for pharmacy has not waned over the years, and it's been a number of years, but still here.
It's so nice to hear that from you, because I think one of the things that I think a lot of colleagues might feel after a period of time, you see the funding situation, you see the narrative around pharmacy, you see the kind of changes that are happening on a bigger scale, more recently online pharmacies coming in, and all those kinds of perceived threats, right? And you can kind of lose track of why you're there.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we have to sort of understand that, because we work in community pharmacy to, we've always had targets, and we had, we're very much sort of numbers focused. So when I was working in pharmacies, how many items have you done? How many forms have, when we had MURs, how many MURs have you hit your daily target, and so on. So we have that kind of level of focusing on the numbers, and it can sometimes derail us. And sometimes when we are working in those under the constraints that you've just mentioned, it's maybe just quite a utopian thing to say and a dreamy thing to say, but the patients actually fall prey to some of the struggles that we have to go through. And I don't think that should, definitely not what I came into the profession for. So
what's so nice to hear is that you keep that relationship at the forefront of your mind. Like I can tell that from every discussion that I have with you. Like you keep that relationship at the forefront of your mind, and in a way reminding yourself of that, or constantly reminding yourself of it. You've constantly got that passion and that fire for the profession, right? You value it enough that it stays at the forefront of your mind, and you are constantly thinking about that and not allowing some of the other pressures to get in the way. And I think the whole community aspect and relationship building, that is our strength.
Totally.
Is our strength.
Totally. And I think that stayed with me. So whenever I'm delivering something or making a decision on something, it's always had that. And I never knew that there was a name for it, but apparently it's called Patient-Centered Solutions or Patient-Centered Designs. But didn't realize I've been doing it all my life, all my career. So it's the trendy thing now, isn't it? Such an early adopter.
Way back. Pharmacists have been doing that way back.
I'm an early adopter, that's for sure.
I like that. Early adopter, for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me about PlatPharma.
Use the noise in the background, but I'm at home.
Don't worry. Don't worry. We're all at home. I could have 2 children popping in any second now. I mean, they're currently asleep, but who knows how long they're going to be.
Who's going to come in? I know. You've seen all those, interviews with all the scientists and the experts that come on BBC, and then the kiddo walks in and just,
Yeah, exactly.
What's the whole thing?
So tell us about PlatPharma. What is PlatPharma? How did you come about this concept? Tell me that journey of PlatPharma.
I think PlatPharma actually came as such a natural, obvious next step for me, and it didn't actually take much thinking or much convincing or much research or any form of analysis paralysis or whatever people want to call it. It was such a natural progression and the most obvious thing for me to do, and it kind of came off the back of maybe 2 or 3 incidences that happened for me, encounters that I've had with patients. And by the way, in the past, I've been where I've worked in certain pharmacies, some staff who didn't know me. So maybe they were there for the day, or maybe they were visiting just to do some training. And I have been accused of having lots of friends coming to visit me at work and being distracted by lots of my friends come in. And I always took that as a compliment, because these are actually patients. So when somebody who doesn't know calls their friends, I'm like, okay, I'll take that. So this naturally takes me to my next point, which is I had a parent who actually came in, and I was pregnant with my daughter. And because I was, I think 4 or 5 months pregnant, she didn't want to come close to me because her son had a suspected infection. So she said, I don't want us to come close to you. So, but I really wanted you to have a look. So I said, listen, go home and let's do this over FaceTime. That's fine, And I was happy to give her my number if she didn't have it already. And we did it. But I said to her, but before you go, in case it's this, buy these 2 items over the counter. So in case it's this, then you've got the items there. If it's not, then you've got them there for when it does, happen. And so we did it. We did that over FaceTime, and I thought, oh my God, it's just so obvious. And then another patient who was staying with her daughter at Great Ormond Street and wasn't able to get back to us in time before the pharmacy closed. And I'd been there for, I think now when I look back, I'd been in that particular pharmacy for about 17 years. So, you see kids being born and growing up right before your eyes. So she rang me and wanted to talk to me about something, but wanted to show me something and wasn't sure she'd get back in time. Again, we did it over FaceTime. And what I was able to then do and record and then go on to signpost and do whatever I needed to do was just, was something that made me think, this is why I'm doing pharmacy. Another case of somebody, being housebound, and then the parent also became housebound because she had developed MS and it just deteriorated. Again, I was doing chats with her over FaceTime, and it wasn't just that element, because the video element of it is the most obvious, but it was what I then went on to record, and what I went on to record in the back end, if you like, of the back of those calls, that gave me, so the idea was there, but I thought there's got to be a hybrid blended way where we can still be in the pharmacy doing what we do best, but if we have a blended approach to us, so those who come to see us, we always want footfall in pharmacy, but those who are unable to on the one occasion can also have access to us. And we can't just always be dependent on our geographical location. We might have to sometimes go to the patient. So that's how the idea came about. And then I just thought, okay, now it's just a small matter of trying to sort this out and build this, tech solution. So the way I built it, this is something that I've built specifically for community pharmacy, but it's built by a community pharmacist. So, I've been asked before, what's different about, the video element, for instance, I can use whatever, but it's the back end of PlatPharma that has all the juice and all the fun stuff that nobody ever sees, because, unless you become a subscriber and then you get access to all of that. But what you see now on the front of PlatPharma is the patient journey. And it's just, you know, I'm a kind of person who always developing and designing and thinking, how do I build this, test it, fix it? And so we're constantly adding things. We're adding, you know, appointment scheduling. We're adding workflow templates in the back end. We're adding, you know, things to record outcomes, interventions, signposting. And I was so passionate about highlighting what we do, change how we deliver our value in community pharmacy. It was so underutilized and often unrecognized. And I call it, you know what I call it? I call it shadow work. That's what I call it, shadow work, because it really happens. It happens all the time. No one knows about it. If a tree falls in the forest, no one hears it. And that's what happens in community pharmacy. And I've since also been exploring voice technology. We've been exploring ways of translating some of the advice that pharmacists do into patients' preferred language, and then at their request, transmitting it to them. And there are lots of issues. There's lots of IG issues and lots of things. But I'm working with such exciting people who really believe in what I'm doing and have bought into it. And that's just what you need. So it's a long answer, but PlatPharma, as you can see, is a bit of a passion for me. So I hope that was clear enough.
I can tell.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it sounds like from how you've described it, it sounds like it was just such a obvious thing for you to do, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, no doubt.
You know, to anyone watching this, I mean, honestly, I think to myself, you have got some guts to be able to say, I see a problem and I can't currently see a solution to it. So I'm going to create that solution. You know, I'm assuming you don't have any like digital background in terms of like coding and things, right?
No, it was about 4 months into so I teamed up with an IT company, brilliant IT company, the best I could ever, you know, wish for. And I was rocking up to all the meetings with a little blue book that I bought in the post office. And I think it was month 4 when they said to me, Hala, you really need to get a laptop. You really need to get a laptop. Like, laptop. Yeah.
Oh my God, Hala. So you started a completely new digital solution without having your own laptop.
Yeah, it was in a blue book. Started in a blue book. And I'm proud of it, because that would have distracted me. I think, you know, having this idea, and it was so, this is something that I feel that it was so meant to do, that I just thought, who needs a laptop? You don't need a laptop. And then, now I have to use several laptops at any one time sometimes, but yeah.
Oh my God, I have even more respect for you now.
Yeah, I know.
You know, to create a completely new digital platform. I mean, like I said, for most of us, we see a problem, right? We often know what the solution is, but very few of us are going to actually go out and create the solution.
Yeah, and can I take you to my first few sentences when I talk to you about the thread that has run through my life?
Mm-hmm.
That's my lineage. That's where I come from. We speak up when we're asked to be quiet. We stand up when we're asked to sit down. And, you know, a challenge for someone like me coming here at 16 years old, you know, I'm a Black Muslim, you know, liberal woman, coming here, and I was just thinking, well, you know, I'm here and I will not be silenced. And a lot of the time, you get pushbacks. Of course you do. You get pushbacks from people who, you know, maybe you don't look like a lot of people who are in this space. Maybe you don't sound like a lot of people who are in this space. But I think my naivety or my, you know, rose-tinted glasses is what's got me this far and is pushing me to get to speak and get in front of amazing people that I never thought, you know, I will have access to. And I do, and I speak to them, and I command their attention, and I command their respect, because I give it. I give other people, I reciprocate the attention and the respect. And that's how you actually work together, you know, in unison with somebody. It has to be some form of symbiosis. Otherwise, you can't work with people,
Yeah,
unless you have that.
absolutely. And you and I talk about this a lot, and I love talking about this, and it's about meeting people where they're at.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And,
I've written it in my blue book, by the way.
But I think you demonstrate that just so amazingly well, Hala. You know, in all the conversations I've had with you, you know, I can see that you do that so well. And, you know, and I just think, I mean, you've touched upon some of the challenges that you've faced. I can only imagine what those challenges have been like, right? But I would love for you to share, you know, share those challenges, and, you know, to anyone watching this, you know, we learn from those challenges, right?
Yeah.
I would love
the challenges are actually also kind of stepping stones as well. So you have to, because if it was easy and seamless and frictionless, everyone would be doing it, I think. So I think the challenges are what kind of gets you onto the next rung, because you have to stop and think about the pushbacks. And so, I mean, I would say, you know, the things that would come to my mind straight away about challenges is that maybe one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is that blurring of the lines between work and home. Because, you know, when you do a lot of the work at home and, you know, your laptop, my newly acquired laptop, actually, it's been a while, it's been a number of years now. It's, you know, when it's there in the corner of the room and you're looking at it and you just think one more email, and constantly, you know, I use the phone a lot to, you know, send emails and connect with people, because that's my main form. I'm not much on social media, although you've asked me to educate people on my platform, taking that advice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a challenge. And I think also just sometimes working alone, because when you work as a community pharmacist, the clue's in the name, you really are part of the community. So when you kind of step back and work on your own startup, it's quite lonely. And I work with people in different time zones as well. So the voice tech expert I'm working with at the moment is in the States, so we have to sometimes, you know, do the work. And I've got some subscribers actually to the platform who are not in the UK, and so sometimes I have to attend to them in different parts of the world. But it's amazing. And the challenge is, I think sometimes you have to look at you know, a pushback or piece of advice, because people will give you their advice and they'll give you their opinion, but that's really coming from where they're at, you know, whether someone is sitting in a box of their box themselves in, or they chose to believe a certain narrative. And you know, I'm one of the things I always do is I keep going back to watch this one YouTube talk by a guy called Brian Stevenson, and he's a civil rights lawyer in the US. And he says, you know, if we're going to change the world, and if we're going to affect really, really positive change, we have to change the narrative, and we have to be really proximate to the people we're trying to help. He says we have to remain hopeful, but we always have to remain or be prepared to be uncomfortable. And I think those are the things that is, even so I'm saying them to you now, I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah. So yeah, and I just thought I'm not really afraid to take this step. I really am not. But yeah, so sometimes when you have some conversations that leave you deflated, and you just think, I'm just going to go and lie down now and eat a sandwich. But as you know, I've taken up Taekwondo and I'm doing a half marathon. So those are becoming, you know, great outlets for me, definitely. So
Yeah, I mean, that advice around, having the proximity to the people that you're trying to affect is, I think that's such a key point, isn't it?
Yeah. It's why I chose. I mean, I think it's why I chose pharmacy in the first place. So when PlatPharma came to my mind and the inception of that idea, it was all just going around. Why did I become a pharmacist? This is why I've become a pharmacist. This is where I want to sit. I don't want to be complaining about the same things in another 10 years. It's been enough.
I mean, you've hit it there when you've talked about you've taken that time to explore why you're a pharmacist.
Yeah.
And I think that's, this is something that we all need to consistently do. I ask myself this question frequently: why am I a pharmacist? What does it mean to me to be a pharmacist? What do I want to achieve by being a pharmacist? Right. And when we get to the heart of those questions, and we're always operating from that place, you do so with authenticity, and you do so with passion, and you do so with that inner knowing that what you're doing is going to make a transformation in somebody else's life. That for you is the life of the relationship between the pharmacy and their patients. Right. For someone else, it might be something different, but yet, it's knowing what that is and feeling connected to that and using that as a guide, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And we can't just, I think, continue to be the suppliers of medicines. We need to digitize in some form. We need to become more tech enabled. And it can sometimes, by the way, be entry level technology. It doesn't have to be, AI on blockchain and all of the stuff that gets me excited, but it can be entry level technology. It can be something really, really basic, but we should never underestimate actually the impact that we have on people when they leave us. They sometimes leave us feeling a lot better than we think, because we are giving them advice that we already know and we don't think it will have an impact, and it's obvious to us, but we should never underestimate that impact. How you leave people once you've met them is important. And I think Maya Angelou said it best. People will never forget how you make them feel. And that's so important. And I know pharmacists, I know we're busy, and I know about capacity issues, and I know about everything else because I'm still, in practice.
Yeah.
But we can't just design for now, and now we've had COVID. We have to have a really robust post-COVID strategy for the sector. We cannot be complaining about the same things over and over again. So we have to design for 5 years, 10 years. I want to design for my daughters so that they have the access that they really deserve to pharmacists. And we deserve to be recognized a bit more than what we have been so far, I think.
So there's so much you've said that I absolutely agree with, and I thank you so much for sharing it, because I think it's just what you have been able to achieve is pretty amazing. It's just really, really incredible. So Hala, tell me, what are your long-term visions for PlatPharma? Because you've talked about pharmacy, pharmacy still having that place, right, in healthcare. What's your vision, your long-term vision for PlatPharma?
I visualize pharmacists using PlatPharma as a tool to, as I was saying earlier, to deliver, to change the way we deliver that value, and also to just, really move away from that kind of maybe social construct or the political construct or how we get paid. Or I want to get past all of that and have pharmacy becoming a bit more of a hub. It's the hub. It's the first port of call. It's the place where people when they're on holiday, they will ring you and book an appointment with you through PlatPharma, hopefully. And you'll be away, you're away on holiday and you want to speak to your pharmacist. You want to speak to Hala. She's the only pharmacist for you. So you want to ring me when you're on holiday and talk to me. But I also want to be able to, get outside the dispensary, and I think something that we need to go beyond the being just behind in the dispensary, behind the four walls. I really think that we need to go to people and meet them where they are. As you've always been talking about. So my idea is that community pharmacy should have adopt what I like to now call a clicks and mortar kind of approach. That's my vision, and maybe not in every pharmacy, because it's not going to be for every pharmacist. Yeah. Just as I believe that a lot of the services that have been commissioned for community pharmacy are not for every pharmacy. But because of the depletion of the global sum and so on, everybody feels that we have to do CPCS, DMS, all the services that are, but they're not going to be for everyone, but we're forced to do them because of obviously the extra income that comes from them, with them. So I think PlatPharma is not going to be for everyone. And I definitely don't think I would want it to be for everyone. But you really need those early adopters, visionaries, people who really have that innovative kind of play. They like to play the long game. Yeah. And that's the vision. So I'm not going for world domination here, but I have a number in my mind that these are the pharmacies. They're going to be key locations in the UK. Maybe, to sit within integrated care systems or SDP, it's the strategy is being worked on at the moment, and this is where I'm just so excited. This is my exciting time now. And I'm just catching the eyes and the ears of people who, really want to move forward and move with me as well. And I think that's a good place to be.
Definitely. I mean, you've said you really want those innovative pharmacies to be part of the PlatPharma family, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And you really want those pharmacies who are open to diversification, right? Who are open to the clicks and mortar model, right? And I really, really hope that more and more pharmacies do take this on, because I can see so much value in them having this, this platform as being part of their pharmacy and being, diversifying their offerings. I can completely see that. And I really, really hope that you get more and more pharmacists joining it.
Yes. Well, the ones who are overseas and are using it, the feedback is great, but then it's different kind of, there's different healthcare systems where they're operating in, but they want to reach their patients. And if that's your number one goal, then the rest will come.
So my parting question to you, Hala, before we say goodbye, is to a pharmacist who's watching this and they're thinking, what, I've got an idea for a digital product, but I've got no idea where to start. What advice would you give them?
You have to get a laptop.
Yeah, number one.
Yeah, get a laptop. Don't rock up with your book. And I was feeling myself, because then I thought, oh, well, the pen matches my book, so at least they know I'm serious. It was terrible. I cringe when I think about it. I honestly, I think right now the way that we are moving, the way that things are happening to us, for us, and I'm talking about somebody who identifies as being, from an ethnically diverse background. Mm-hmm. I think we have to, first of all, think about everyone that we're building for. So you design and you build for everyone. So this term EDI, the equity and diversity and inclusion, I mean, I didn't realize that I've been living that all my life. I just didn't know it had a hashtag, to be honest. And it's we have to move away from equality where you're treating everyone the same. So you can't have a persona, a typical persona. You really have, and you can't design for average. You have to really design with everyone in mind. And that's not as challenging as it sounds, by the way. And for anyone who is interested in that part, I've just finished reading a book called Building for Everyone by Annie Jean Baptiste, her name is. It's a really interesting book. You can either buy it on Audible or buy the actual book. That's a really important aspect of design, I think, for a digital product. If you start to kind of waver a little bit and think, no one's buying my idea or no one's really listening to me, you have to read the book called, I've got it here, The Surprising Power of Ideas That Don't Make Sense. It's called Alchemy. And it's about by a guy called Rory Sutherland. Now that is some serious listening stroke reading. So I have it on Audible and I have the book, and I'm just switching between the two. That is a must-read book. Rory Sutherland is actually a very formidable guy, so I would say do that. But my real juicy piece of advice is you've got to know your stakeholders. You have to analyze them within an inch of their life. Mm-hmm. Your stakeholders are those who will support you, who will fly the flag for you, who are your, kind of champions, and those who can also block you. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, I've actually got an Excel spreadsheet, but you can use there's leverage any of the technology that's out there. It's really helpful. But you've got to have, a visual aspect of all your stakeholders. You have to work out who's in your site, how they prefer to be contacted, what sector they're in, what impact they have, what importance they have, what influence they have. And you really need to go deeper and deeper into your stakeholder document, and you need to visit that every day. I think it's twice a day if you can. That is one thing that I wished I had done this earlier, because that has been my real springboard to the next step. So those are the things that I would be really, and if somebody has got an idea and they want to get something off the ground, you always have to remember when people ask you, what's your USP? What's your USP? I'm an older, black girl, black woman. I can say this to all my, but you have to kind of know your worth, and you have to say to people, I am the USP, right? And not in that kind of narcissistic, kind of solipsistic way, but you are the USP. Yeah. So you've got to kind of, get into that frame of mind. And
Such great advice.
Yeah, I think that's good. Good. I'm really happy to have spent time with you today.
Oh, you too. And, where can we find you if people want to reach out to you, they want to find out more about PlatPharma, where can we contact you?
My email address is hala@platpharma.com, just simple. I'm on Twitter @PlatPharma, and I'm on LinkedIn, Hala Abusin, so Abusin. And those are the places where I hang out. But email is probably the best place to get me, because I'm constantly, checking my inbox and communicating with people. But LinkedIn is a nice place to hang out too. So yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And Maren says, inspirational. Well done, Hala. Proud of you. Good to see a fellow techie female pharmacist.
Oh, thank you.
Which is exciting. Thank you so much, Hala, for spending this time with me today. I really appreciate it. As always, it's a pleasure to speak to you.
It's my pleasure.
I will see you soon. I will see you really, really soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the chance to share my story as well.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And thank you to whoever's watching as well. I will see you guys next week at the Happy Healthcare Professionals live show, when we have got a pharmacist who has set up her own skincare company. So I can't wait for that. So look out for that next week. Take care.
Okay.
All. Bye.